All right, guys. I'm doing this a little earlier, so um, I'll upload the link and then you guys can catch this later. Post it on the Facebook post. But for those of you that don't know me, my name is TJ, owner of Merle Hay Fitness. I'm sitting here with Devin, the head trainer at Merle Hay Fitness, and we're just going to blast through a couple things here this morning and just kind of go through, obviously, as you're looking at here, the three biggest mistakes that people make with their nutrition when they go and set goals. And so we're going to go through those things and go through some different questions and topics as to how we can avoid or fix those things if you're currently doing them. So as we jump into it here, kind of the first one we're going to look at, or the first mistake, is calorie intake and hydration. And so there's a lot of different points that we're going to kind of cover on this. And so I guess before we get too far into this, I kind of want to go over a few big concepts here, and then we'll kind of tie all of this in together. So number one, obviously, we think of goal setting and exercise and nutrition and all of the things that kind of funnel into that in a sense. And so really just start to think of exercise and nutrition. And with that being said, exercise is going to kind of determine the shape of your body, whereas nutrition will kind of determine whether you see that shape, right? And so basically when we go to set goals, and obviously we want to have realistic goals, and whether it's to be confident when we walk into the room or have more energy or be stronger or just be physically fit, think move better, feel better, perform better, and stay healthy, right? We have to start to look at not just exercise is the main thing. And so I think 70% of the results that you're getting or the progress that you'll make is going to come from nutrition, right? And the other 30% is going to come from the exercise. And so you've heard it before, but you can't out exercise poor nutrition, right? And so the last thing to keep in mind too is, if we're trying to lose fat or just get stronger or whatever, we don't want to lose muscle. And so essentially what we want to start to think of when it comes to food is we want to feed the lean muscle with the food, right? Or the lean muscle tissue, and so that the stored fat can start to be used as the fuel, right? And so we'll get into, what that actually looks like or what that means, as we move through these different topics here. And so again, back to mistake number one with calorie intake and hydration. And so some common things I hear is, how many calories do I need to eat? What types of food should I eat? Why do I have a slow metabolism? I'm not hungry when I wake up in the morning. How much water should I drink? And so, when it comes to calories, that's specific to the individual. And so I would recommend getting MyFitnessPal today, and that will kind of, it's a free app on your phone. You can go download it, and it'll walk you through, the basics of, hey, here are my goals, da da da, and you can really get a good idea of where you need to start with calorie intake. If you guys want more guidance on that, I have a way that I can calculate that for you as well, to give you just a little bit of a different perspective as to what that might look like for you. But then, from there, obviously, with the calories themselves, energy balance wise, if we're trying to lose body fat, we essentially want to have a balance when it comes to calories in versus calories out, to where you're burning more calories than you're taking in, right? If you want to add muscle, that might look different, but essentially let's just go with that example. And so, when we start to break down, obviously, just the calories themselves, we also have to look at where the calories are coming from. And so we'll get to that, with the next mistake that we'll go through here in regards to balance. But as we move down the list here, we talk about, hey, what food should I eat? There's nothing special. There's no magical diet. There's a lot of things out there, with paleo and keto and Whole30, and you go online and you say, hey, how many eggs can I eat? There's going to be a million different things, and they're all going to be different. So, with how we teach nutrition and what we want to obviously preach to you now is just think common sense nutrition. And so when it comes to what food should I eat, obviously within the right portion and moderation, we can basically have anything we want as long as it's hitting those calories and hitting, that balance of where those calories or where the nutrients of those calories are coming from. And so basically think we want to stay with lean proteins, good carbohydrates. We'll go into that in a little bit here on the next slide as well. But then, vegetables and fruits and healthy fats, right? And so we have a nutrition guidebook we use with everyone. It outlines that stuff fairly well, just to keep this short today. If you guys want that, post in the comments or whatever, and I'll be sure to get that to you guys. And then lastly, before we transition over, I hear this all the time when I sit down with people. We're talking about, having, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 small meals or snacks throughout the day. And people are like, I'm just not hungry in the morning, Well, essentially what happens too, if you haven't been eating breakfast, just like if I always say your sleep routine, gets out of whack and you're like, oh, I got to catch up on sleep or whatever, your body's out of regulation. And it's kind of the same way when we have not been, say eating breakfast and then, skipping our morning snack and not eating till lunch, right? There's some obviously negative things that come with that. And so again, basically the big concept here is to remember that food is fuel. And, if we're not filling up the gas tank before you leave in the morning, you're not going to get very far. So if you guys want more specifics on that, or you feel like that's where you really struggle, just again, reach out and we'll try to help you as much as we can. And then lastly, with hydration, tons of benefits that come from that, obviously, from energy to fat loss to just obviously, help getting toxins out of your body and, moving those other things through. But, when we look at water intake, we just keep it simple and say, try to get at least half of your body weight in ounces every day. If you're exercising, I always say every 20 extra minutes of exercise, you're going to try to get an additional 8 ounces of water. So do that math and figure out where you're at. So next one here. So mistake number 2 is balance and quality. And so we read across the bottom, a Snickers bar and a sweet potato are both carbohydrates, but differ significantly in regards to how they make you feel. So hopefully that makes sense. When we talk about balance and quality, previously with calorie intake, obviously we're eating X number of calories per day, but where are they coming from, right? So is a calorie just a calorie? Yes and no. We want to get a good balance, and I keep saying that word. And so balance just simply refers to proteins, carbs, and fats, right? In my eyes. And so we look at, of the X number, say 1,000 calories, 1,200 calories that I'm eating every day, which might be low for me, what percentage of those calories are coming from protein, coming from carbs, coming from fat? Again, I mentioned MyFitnessPal. That'll help kind of break it down for you specifically for everyone that, obviously a little bit goal dependent, but I always try to start everyone somewhere around that 30-40-30 split, meaning 30% protein, 40% carbohydrates, and 30% fat. And so essentially the best way to think of it when we start to, again, think of food as fuel, and we want to fuel our body to obviously have energy and recovery from workouts and just as a whole have enough, feel good throughout the day. We have to start to basically break it down and think of this, well, hey, carbohydrates, we'll start there. It's at 40%. Why is that? It's, almost half of our calorie intake. Well, the reason that is at that point is because, like I mentioned earlier, carbohydrates are almost like they are your main source of fuel. So it's like, your gas for your fire, your gas for your car. Basically think if you throw gas in the car, you're going to throw a match on it. It's going to go up quick, but it's not going to last very long. So it's quick acting, but not long lasting from an energy and hunger standpoint. So again, we look at that Snickers and, sweet potato example. If you eat a Snickers bar, it's going to give you a much different feeling in regards to energy and satiety, or, that satisfaction that you get from your hunger versus if you eat a sweet potato, right? And so, when we get to the next question, are carbs bad, right? There's obviously a good and bad, type when it comes to those. And so same thing with fat even is fat bad? Well, depends on the type of fat. And so we want to obviously stay away from saturated and trans fats and not eliminate all of the healthy fats, because those obviously help regulate hormones and fat loss and other physiological processes that take place in the body. So but when it comes back to the proteins, carbs, and fats, again, carbohydrates is like your gas. So the protein now is essentially like the wood for the fire. So you take your gas, you've got your wood, you light that gas on fire, it goes up quick, doesn't go out right away because now it's going to catch the wood on fire, right? And so that takes a little bit longer to catch on fire, but it's going to last a little bit longer. So again, longer lasting energy and more feeling of satiety when we combine those nutrients together. So carbohydrates and proteins together. And then lastly, is just fats. And so fat, that's like the coal. It takes the longest to heat up. It's going to be the last thing to cool down. It's more energy dense. And so, per gram, right? So 1 gram of protein, essentially has 4 calories per gram. 1 gram of carbohydrates also has 4 calories per gram. 1 gram of fat has 9. So more than double. So again, if we jump back to the example of, hey, I'm not hungry in the morning, right? Well, essentially, with that, your body has gone into a food deprivation in a sense, and it doesn't want to, say if you're just having protein shakes, you eat 1,000 calories of protein every day, and you're like, I'm just going to gain muscle. That's not necessarily true, because your body can take that protein or any unused energy in that sense and essentially store it as fat, right? If it's not if you're not getting that proper balance. So lastly here, so supplementation and convenience. So there are no such things as magical pills, powders, or shakes, right? And so when we talk about supplementation, we obviously look at it in a sense that, hey, it's going to fill gaps that we're missing with our nutrition, right? And it's going to allow us the convenience of not being able to make an excuse because we don't have time to eat, right? So, when yes, do I need to take supplements? Yes, you probably should. Does it need to be hydroxycut, hardcore, or whatever the newest fat burning supplement is? No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about your kind of common core nutritional products. And so we're looking at a good high quality multivitamin, fish oils, maybe a probiotic, and then obviously maybe some type of protein powder, meal replacement shake of some kind. Again, just to touch on that, we're not replacing food with shakes, guys. It's just obviously there to enhance not only the nutritional part, but even to when we think of performance nutrition, right? Trying to recover from workouts and that type of stuff, whether it's amino acids or, some type of obviously recovery shake post workout wise. Those are all things that we need to keep in mind, when it comes to the recovery process and just trying to, like you said, get the nutrients that you need on a daily basis. And so, I always tell people, if we're trying to lose fat, we're probably going to be in some type of calorie deficit. We're not eating as much as we're burning when it comes to calories. But then from there, we're also going to be in a nutrient deficit. So if we're burning 2,000 calories a day and only taking in 1,500, we should be losing fat, but we're also not only in a calorie deficit, we're in a nutrient deficit. So we need to be able to get the nutrients back into the body, essentially without, having to get the extra calories back in. So, aside from that, guys, these are the kind of the three big things that I always kind of touch on with people. And it's not rocket science, it's common sense, guys. You guys know, you should be planning and prepping, and obviously there's some other specifics that we didn't really touch on today, but like timing of the meals and that stuff too. So I'll kind of have you guys go through. If you have questions, things I didn't touch on, we can do another video. I guess from there, we're going to be doing a big goal setting workshop coming up in February here. So for those of you that watch that, you guys will get early access to some of those things that we'll be releasing here shortly. And thanks for watching, guys. Oh, shit, it didn't record.
Did it really not?
Better of.